Good morning! You are watching the Millcast. I am your one solo alone host, Amanda Kievit, here at Junction Fiber Mill because my co-host, Peggy Allen, is out on vacation. She's been gone the past week and a half or so, and she comes back this week, but we are thrilled for her. She's having her first vacation, well, her first 2-week vacation in like 12 years since they started the sheep farm. Crazy. So I can't be more thrilled for her that she's away, especially given that she has handled the maternity leaves for me not once but twice when I've had my 2 babies. So while we are excited to have her back, I am happy to be holding down the fort solo for once. But despite her not being here, we have a lot to cover. But just to keep the format a little similar to what we usually do, the weekend, how was it? Thank you for asking, audience. It was good. I actually have been doing a lot of sewing at home these days. I do knit, although I find right now, first of all, I'm really excited for the knit along that we've teased a little bit, and I'll talk more about that later. So I'm not super excited to put anything on my needles that I know I won't finish before starting that. And second of all, it's just, it's been hot out, so I felt like I should sew some summer clothes. So I want to show off what I did. Okay, I made these shorts this weekend. It's been pretty hot in the mill, especially last week. This week, we had a big storm last night, and it brought a cold front, and it should be a lot more reasonable. But the shorts are a pattern called Saturday Shorts by Enderall Sews. So if anyone listening is not only a knitter, but a sewist like myself, you can check those out. They are very comfortable. This is the second pair I've made, and I plan to wear them a lot, especially in the mill this summer. I also did make my shirt out of some linen that prior to having children, I was experimenting with some natural dyeing. So this is some indigo I dyed, and they are the Anna Allen Demeter. It's the Anna Allen Demeter top, which I actually finished since having Lewis too. It had been put on hold since like probably before I was even pregnant, and I finished it up. So that feels great. And then in addition to doing some sewing, thank you to my husband for watching the children while I did that. He played a show on Saturday night at this beautiful place called Cross Molina Farm. It's in Corinth, Vermont. They do pizza nights on Saturdays all summer, and they have live music. We've been a couple of times just without him playing music. So this time it was me with both of the kids, which is always a little bit crazy. Thankful for friends who also brought their kids so that Maeve could run around and do that. But we had a lovely night Saturday. The weather was beautiful. And, well, it did threaten rain, which meant like it wasn't quite as crazy as it usually is at Cross Molina Farm. But the rain held off, and we had a great night. But back to the mill. Well, actually, one more weekend update that's knitting related. I did get something on my needles, and it's that sweater that I had told you all about a few episodes ago. I made this for Cody several years ago now out of some Brooklyn tweed yarn. The pattern is the Radmere Cardigan by Michelle Wang. And you can see it's kind of a cable monster. I was very proud of this. I still am, but I think I blocked it in a not so great way. So what had happened is, I'll show you, I didn't get to both sleeves. The sleeves sort of stretched out, so the ribbing wasn't really doing anything. And every time I saw him wearing this, I just like didn't love how it looked. And he wears it quite a bit. It's his house sweater, quote unquote house sweater, so it doesn't really leave the house. But I didn't love how the sleeves flared out, and the bottom does it as well. But I was like, it had been so long since I knit this thing. So I was like, oh, surely I knit from the top down, like I knit all of the clothing basically that I knit these days. So I just started like chopping away at the sleeve, and well, I have a video showing how I fixed it. So I will go to that, and then we'll talk more. Okay, so I am going to try to fix the sweater. And I've got to look at the pattern to even remember what size needles I used. But this is the sweater. It's kind of a cable monster. And what happened is, I don't know if I blocked it wrong or what, but the sleeves are a little flared. So, and it was knit from the bottom up and pieced together. So the first step I already started is I unraveled the side seam a little bit, kind of back to where I wanted to go. And then I started unraveling the bottom, but then it turned out that I had, this was the cast on side, and I had forgotten about that. So thanks to all of your helpful comments, I figured out there is a way to salvage this, thank goodness, and I'm gonna try it. So first I think I'm gonna try to place a lifeline, or I'm just gonna snip and go for it. Okay. Size 6 needles. Lewis, size 6 needles. It's also a kind of complicated cabled pattern, so I'm having a hard time figuring out how to see, like, on a purl stitch where I go in and on these cables. Oh, yeah. I almost wonder if I should just snip it and see what happens. Snip! Okay, so I've got it into 2 pieces now. I am sure that I didn't get all of the stitches right. So as I go, I'm going to kind of look at the pattern and make sure I have, well, I'm going to see that I have enough stitches, or not too many, not too few. If I dropped one, try to pick it back up, and then I'm going to, well, I'm first going to have the satisfaction of unraveling this, because this is what I'm going to use to recreate a better looking cuff. So I want to say thank you very much to many of the Millcast comments that came in, specifically Elizabeth S., Valerie B., Cindy F., and Erica F., and many others who reassured me that I hadn't ruined the sweater forever and that there was a fix. And so as you saw, before the video sort of cut out on me, basically what I ended up doing is finding the length that I wanted to, remove stitches from. I cut like 1 stitch, and then I sort of slowly started unraveling from there and trying to put those stitches on a needle as I went. I will admit I did not get the number of stitches I was supposed to have. I think I got like 52. It was supposed to be 56. But I just decided to pick up some stitches here and there, and I think it will be all the finer for it. I think it looks great. And I also decided to just knit in the round, and I still have to weave in a couple of ends on the inside. So this, you can see, this is where I unraveled, this is where the seam is. So I've got some yarn from where I was unraveling, and I don't know, I've got to weave in all these little ends. But what I decided to do is just to knit in the round as well. So I didn't knit it flat. I decided to go in the round. So I think that also leads to a lot nicer of a finish. And then the big change I wanted to make, so I started knitting this with size 6 needles, which is what the ribbing originally was, but I still wasn't seeing the sort of cuff size that I wanted to see. So about halfway through, I switched to size 5 needles, so 1 size down, and I kept going. And then I did the, I guess it's a tubular bind off. But basically at the end here, I can link the tutorial I used. But I went from a 2x2 rib to a 1x1 rib, and then I used Kitchener stitch and pulled pretty tightly as I bound off that edge, so you can see how that finish looks. And he tried it on. I'll show you a picture. The sleeve looks much better because I not only got rid of I not only fixed the sort of cuff flare problem, but I also got rid of some length that was a little extra on his surprisingly long arms. The pattern was a little bit too long still. So if anyone has a sweater whose length they want to edit, it can be done. And it was a little bit scary to sort of start unraveling it, but and especially because it was cabled, so it was a lot harder to find those live stitches to pick them up, but I think it will go on to have a lot happier of a life. I've now got to do the same thing on this sleeve, and then I still am unhappy with the hem as well. But the tricky part with that is I think, again, I should know this. I'm pretty sure I knit the whole thing bottom up. So the hem is tricky because I can pretty easily do the same thing I did with the sleeve here, where I unravel from this seam and this other side seam, and then I can sort of do the same thing. But the front, it was, I picked up for the shawl, or the neck, and you can see there's a lot of knitting here. So I'm not going to be able to sort of just isolate the hem here without undoing both of these, what do you call it? The thing that the buttons are attached to in the buttonholes. So I don't know if I am going to do that, or I might just try reblocking it and seeing if I can kind of fix that rib stretchiness, if I just sort of block it to sit a little tighter. I'm curious if anyone has had experience with that and if it's worked. But given that the sleeve works so well, I'm definitely going to do that on the other side and be a lot happier when I see him wearing this cardigan, that it fits a lot better. Okay, so that's that update. The most of the rest of this episode, I have a lot of shop updates for you. I think we had been sitting on a lot of stuff as I do the photography and the website for the mill. Coming back from maternity leave, I have had my work cut out for me, and I am so excited to show you what we have. I'm going to start with a very special announcement. We are carrying Cowgirlblues yarn in our shop now. So this is the first yarn that hasn't been made here at the mill. And it's the Kidsilk, which is a blend of mohair and silk. You've seen me knit with it most recently for my mod tee. This is such a fun yarn to hold double with making tracks or with any of our yarn to get that sort of mohair glow. I think that's really popular right now. I've seen it, one of my favorite pattern designers, Petite Knit, you all know. She does a lot of mohair held double with a wool yarn. And it just gives it that extra, like, I would call it like fuzzy glow. And it also adds a lot of warmth without adding too much weight to the yarn. So we talked about Cowgirlblues before. We had the owner, Bridget Henderson, on the show back in, episode 53. But we met her actually through one of the festivals we attended. She was our booth neighbor. So we sort of helped each other out throughout the weekend. We got to know each other. And then she was coming through the States, and she decided to come visit us. And we talked to her and said, hey, Bridget, could we buy some of your yarn to carry at the Junction Fiber Mill little online web store? And she said, absolutely. So I'm excited to show you. We've got several colorways. Let me gather them all up here. Ta-da! We sort of specifically picked these colors because they went really well with the brand new round of making tracks that we just launched, those 5 new colors, but I'll show you all of them. So this is charcoal, sort of a nice steely gray, almost bluish gray. This is the natural. That's what I used held with my Morit sheep's wool, like finger sport weight yarn, and it made that beautiful mod tee. It just sort of brought the color a little bit lighter and added a ton of texture. This is sage. We've got aubergine. I think we would call that sort of an eggplant here in the States. We've got terracotta. And we've got indigo. That's a nice, beautiful, deep, deep blue. And then this sable, which is, it is like a sort of gray-brown, almost tinging a little bit purple. So that's the collection, and those are available now on the website. But we also got a sample made because we thought it would pair really lovely with our new Making Tracks light. That's our sport weight. So this is a beautiful sample knit by our friend Francesca, and it is the Brassavola scarf by Knitique Yarns. So where you see the Making Tracks, that's the stripes, that's held double with the Cowgirlblues yarn, and then the Cowgirlblues yarn goes throughout. So that's the Kidsilk. This is knit on size 10 needles. I've got a few photos of me modeling this beautiful scarf, but it's huge. I think it measured like 85 inches long, so it could definitely be made a little bit less long. I think you could stop sooner and it would still be a really lovely garment. For this size, this is following the pattern. It took, let's see, 3 skeins of the Cowgirlblues Kidsilk yarn and 2 skeins of the Making Tracks light. So this is this combination here. We've got the Making Tracks light Alpenglow with terracotta Cowgirlblues. So we've got, I want to see what you all knit with this Cowgirlblues yarn. Like I said, I think it works really lovely knit with the Making Tracks DK as well, but with the light, you can get a nice light fabric. This is just perfect for summertime. Even in this hot weather, you could definitely wear this as sort of a shawl or just like a nice drapey scarf like I'm wearing it now. But yeah, I hope you check out the Cowgirlblues yarn. It's a lovely mohair silk. Again, they're everywhere in patterns these days, and it looks really fun paired with some variegated, like our Making Tracks light. Okay, more shop updates for you. So last time Peggy was on, we talked about our North Country Cheviot yarn, and that is done. So this is the 2024 clip of the North Country Cheviot. And what I mean when I say clip is these sheep get shorn or shorn once a year. So we're not going to be able to make this yarn again this year. We got what we got and we processed it all. So Ginny Prince is the farmer. We had her on the Millcast episode 12. I will link to that. But she raises her North Country Cheviot primarily to train her sheepdogs, which is really cool. She's a vet. She takes really good care of her animals. And we got these, a range of different natural colors from her flock. So we processed the light ones into this sort of natural creamy color. And then we sort of, we got some silvers, but we also probably blended some lights and darks into this medium gray. And then what's really fun, and I'm a little obsessed with it, this super dark, I'm calling it a natural black, but it's a really dark brown, really dark gray, heathered yarn. And we don't get a lot of large quantities of natural dark yarns, which is why we often don't have a black in stock. So if you like this, this is a really lovely yarn to pick up, and we don't have a lot of this. We have more of this color, but this is a super special natural black. So check these yarns out. They're a heavy DK weight, just like our Making Tracks regular, and so they knit lovely with Making Tracks, but I would also love to see them knit all 3 together. You could do like a really beautiful colorwork yoke sweater, you could do a hat, just some straight up stripes in a sweater would look fun, and to know that they're all from the same flock, just a few miles away from the mill across the New Hampshire border, and raised by a small, raised by a lovely woman named Ginny Prince. So those are those. Okay, we had sort of like a sneaky color launch. It wasn't part of our 5 that we just revealed last time, but this one has been on our shelves for a little while, and I just noticed when I was updating the website that it hadn't been added to our online collection yet. So we have lily pads here, which is a very fun and summery green. So it's sort of swirls of like a golden with sort of a sage and like a really bright lily pad green. So that has been around on our shelves for a while for festivals and open houses, but it hasn't been online. So if you see this online and you're like, what the heck, they didn't tell us about that, That's why we have it here. And I wanted to show you some things I thought it would pair really nicely with. So we have our Blueface Leicester Ochre. That is a lovely pairing. And then, of course, you know, we've got our neutrals. This is the Blueface Leicester, just the natural light gray. And then the Making Tracks Undyed. There you go. The other that we just finished with is another colorway to add to our Blueface Leicester blend. This is a burnt orange shade. And I'm thinking about doing this for my knit along main color with Heyday. I think these two pair really lovely together. Heyday is one of our new colorways. It's got that really fun sunshiny yellows, oranges, a little bit of green, but this looks so killer with this burnt orange. The others, of course, we've got the Second Winter. That's just really fun. And then if you wanted to go like opposite side of the color wheel, I think this Stick Season would pair really, really well with it. So that's that. And then speaking of Making Tracks Undyed, it's this guy. We decided to spin that up as a sport weight. So now you can get the undyed. That's just a really nice white natural wool. And it's in a sport weight that would pair with all of our Making Tracks. Or, you know, this would look so beautiful with some of the Cowgirl Blues. If you needed, like, I think it would probably knit up like a DK weight, the sport plus the lace weight mohair silk. That is that. That's it for new yarns. But I have started to put some bundles on the website. I should say one for now. So we've done bundles in the past. We keep sort of figuring out new ways to do them. But we hear you. You like pattern inspiration. And one of our mill workers, Liz, just knit up this really beautiful pressed flowers pullover by Savory Knits or Savory Knitting. And we posted that on our Instagram. It's so fun. She did a black that wasn't ours, but again, this would be really lovely with it within the clearing Making Tracks, and it just looks killer. So we decided to post a sort of suggested colorway bundle for that pattern. So if you go to our website, you can see it, and we tried to make it really easy where you can select the colorway that you like from the ones that we've put together, and then you can select a chest circumference, and we'll send you all the yarn that you need to make that pattern. And then you can just go to Ravelry and buy the pattern, and you'll have yourself all the stuff you need to make the pressed flowers pullover. We also, with bundles, you get a 10% discount. So that's something to look out for. And then we've got shop appointments. We've done a couple of these now, but we know it can be really hard to pick out Making Tracks variegated yarn on a website because there is a lot of variation from one skein to the next. In fact, no two skeins are the same. So we now have virtual shopping appointments. And how those work, you can go online and select your time slot, and it'll probably be Liz that you'll meet with, the one who did the pressed flowers pullover, because she is our color picker and customer service person extraordinaire. And you reserve your spot for $30, and that money will get refunded to you in the form of an order discount with whatever skeins you picked out. So that's less than the price of most of our skeins, and it just helps reserve your spot. But then you get a half hour of time to go virtual shopping over Zoom with Liz. And so you can tell her ahead of time what sort of patterns you're interested in, what colorways you want to see so she can have that pulled, or you can just sort of do it live with her here. So go online and you can check those out. We'll have the link below. And lastly, for the shop updates, order notes. This is something I thought we should have for a long time now, and you probably have too. So when you go to place your order through our site, there's now a little box in the cart that you can say, write us a note to say like, hey, I want my Second Winter to not have very much marling. I want it to be more like solids on solids, or I want my Alpenglow to be one of the more pink ones or one of the more blue ones or stuff like that. So go ahead and use those order notes. We will see them and we will try to pick out skeins to your liking. And of course, you can always email us as well. hello@junctionfibermill.com. I mentioned it before. We've got this knit along coming up. It's going to start July 9th. That's just a couple weeks from now. And it's going to be the Lindell sweater. So you've seen the Lindell Torkel. That was that little sort of scarflet that a lot of us made a year ago in preparation for Rhinebeck. It was sort of our Rhinebeck project. This year, it's the Lindell sweater. So Ona Walden, she's a local knitwear designer or knitwear pattern designer, and we have worked really closely with her as she's developed this masterful pattern. We could not be more excited with how it's turned out. And I just want to say to those of you that want to get your yarn ahead of time for that, we know for sure it takes 2 skeins of making tracks for every single size. She's still working on the yardage requirements for the main color, but the yoke work is going to be in making tracks. So if you wanted to select your skeins for that now, it's going to be 2 skeins of making tracks. We also are going to have some bundles available for you as soon as we figure out how many skeins exactly you need, depending on your chest circumference. But we are just so excited. I've got my needles ready and I'm excited to cast on. I've never seen a sweater like this. If you want to get some teaser photos, we've posted a couple, but Ona Walden, at Walden on Instagram, she's posted a bunch, and it's phenomenal. You don't get the full picture yet, but it's going to be something really special. And the knit along is going to go from July 9th all the way into Rhinebeck, New York Sheep and Wool Festival in October. So we'll do a meetup again like we did last year. We're so excited about this sweater. It's going to be so much fun. Okay. Peggy is back soon, actually, in just a couple of days. And she's been knitting on her travels. She's been in Europe. She's been in Estonia. She's been to Croatia. She's probably in Amsterdam right now. Super jealous. She's having a great time. But I just wanted to put a call out to find out, what's your go-to travel knitting project? Is it socks? Is it shawls and scarves? Is it hats? I'm just curious. We'd love to hear from you. What do you knit while you are traveling? Especially in the summer months, as a lot of us tend to travel. It's hot. What do you like having on your needles while you're in transit? That's about it. The open house is coming up. It's Friday, July 5th from 3 to 5 here at the Mill. As we mentioned last time, some of you like to come to Vermont for these from out of state, which we love to hear. But if you're sort of thinking, oh, I'd love to take a vacation to Vermont this summer, do it and plan it around the open house. It's so much fun. There's so much to do around here. Feel free to send us an email if you need some suggestions. But our next one is coming up July 5th, and then the following one in the summer is August 2nd. So those are both the first Friday of the month here at the Mill from 3 to 5. Woo! You're probably like, Amanda, take a breath, slow down. It's tough to do this thing all by myself. I miss Peggy. But she'll be back next time. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put this beautiful Brassavola on, and we will see you, both Peggy and I, next week. All right, take care.